finally looks like the Rysel is getting a taste of its own meta. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. The 200th next play has come and gone. And I gotta tell you, these results are by far some of the most interesting that we've seen out of the meta. I mean, Rysel has been on the top of the meta chain out here. It is the deck to beat. We only had 5 in the overall participation today, but I think that's fine. We also are following this up with a good chunk of Malice over here. We actually had 4 Malice duelists entering into our top cut out here, which is very, very, very interesting. But the real challenger of today is actually the story of Memento. That's right, Memento actually kind of came out of nowhere for this event and just stomped its foot into the ground and really just made this tournament look like an absolute joke out here, locking down both first and second place out of this event, which is crazy to be thinking about. We also have White Forest action down here with 3 participants as well. We also only had 3 duelists on Snake Eyes, which, I mean, understandably so, right? When you're looking at how Snake Eyes has been performing, the deck has a lot of issues. Now, we did have Goblin Bikers. Now, keep in mind, during last week's event, we did see a lot more Goblin Bikers kind of doing the thing because Rysel was the deck to beat. So in a small room where you know that you have to play against Rysel as the heavier number, Goblin Bikers can find success. So the problem here becomes when another challenger steps up to the room, and what are Goblin Bikers supposed to do against the rest of the competition? And that's kind of where our question kind of deviates here as to why Goblins didn't really perform, was because another challenger was very, 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 very much in the room today. We also had 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon decks. Are you surprised to see Blue Eyes still doing the thing? No, you really shouldn't be. We also had 2 Tenpai Dragons. Now the one-of section here. I see that, or actually we also have 2 water decks. We finally get to see what an OCG Mermail list looks like. I'm super excited for that. It looks like, in no particular order from what I can decipher here, it looks like a Supreme King Magician deck. Looks like a Fallen of Albaz. I swear that's Tri-Brigade. We also had a Menkanko deck in here. We also had a Hero, and I don't recognize some of these other ones. I swear that looks like Ritual Beast or Gishki or Nekroz with the red hair. And then we have Madolche with 1 to 2 other unknowns. Okay, so shifting on into your top cut. We have your most represented deck in this top cut was Memento. Does anybody want to look around here and go, oh, surprise Pikachu face? Or are we just going to accept the fact that, maybe there was something to this deck's presence in this top cut? Because only one of these Memento decks didn't make it this far, which is kind of funny, actually, because when you look at like overall participation to this deck transitioned beautifully. We also only had 1 Rysel duelist making it from our overall pool of 5. Rysel did not have a good time today. This deck just looks like it got punched around and it couldn't walk it off. Like that's what we're looking at here. We also had 1 Malice duelist still doing the thing. Unfortunately, we don't have a Malice in top 4 to report for you, but we do have it on the lower end. So unfortunately, Malice didn't have a good turnover. We also still have our 1 Tenpai Dragon duelist. Yes, good old reliable, right? I can only imagine with what 1 Chandra is going to look like in today's list. We also have that Mermail Atlantean list I told you about. Now remember, they do have an extra wave of support that we don't. So you kind of get the chance to see, how is this deck structured a little bit differently from ours? And it also looks like White Forest had a lead on today's meta as well. But overall, it's kind of nice and refreshing to see a shift in the top cut meta for what you've normally been seeing. Let's pass on over to deck list. Our first list here is going to be the power of Memento. And I gotta tell you, a lot of these Memento lists are going to look very, very straightforward. Remember, the OCG gets to make Apollosa in this deck, which automatically makes it a way stronger threat to the meta. You also do see we are doing 2 goblins with 2 goblin cage. The goal of this deck is, I mean, you don't really have to worry about shifter in the OCG, right? Because everybody's afraid of Malice running around. So then this deck just gets the ability to take back off and be this very, very, very strong nuisance that it needs to be. But most of your extra deck resources are fine. So we're playing droplets in here for board breaking, 1 of the field spell, which is never going to change. 1 of the big guy. So yeah, you have every big resource in here that I think you're going to need. All the Mulch Armies in the side deck. Hitting this deck with a Mulch Army feels absolutely abysmal, man. I gotta tell you. All right, you might get maybe 1 to 2 draws, but that's about it. Also, I see they are playing the pop 1 trap in here instead of the bigger one. All right, so shifting on back here, our next list, the same thing. We are doing 2 Goblin Cage, but only 1 Goblin here. Now, I do not like this. I guess that's probably our big difference between the 2 lists, and I guess 1 for 1 as well. This list opted to play a 1 for 1 and only 1 Goblin, which once again, I do not like 1 Goblin. I think you need to be playing 2, especially if you're playing 2 of the cage. It definitely just feels a lot better. Now, one thing that this side deck did down here was this deck went absolutely crazy with the Mulch Armies. We're siding 9 Mulch Armies down here. That is actually insane to be seeing that many cards, but the fact that, you can do this, you can access these Mulch Armies as these power cards to kind of help you find these resources. Man, come to the TCG, those are going to be 9 secret rares, or 9 quarter centuries, I guess. And then, of course, I see we have some Exceed Encore action down here as well. Have we really reached that point that we're back on the Exceed Encore for Rizal? Maybe. Ooh, we have our Mermail list for you here. Now, I see that we are playing one of the new, or actually we're playing 2 of the new level 7s, okay? 2 Minstrels for some hand-ripping action, which is fine. In terms of the extract, we are playing 1 of the new rank 7s, as I was hoping that we would be. Post side decking, I mean, you're playing Lancy as you have Thrust in here with the droplets just to make sure you can punish your opponent. Board breaking is going to be very, very crucial to a deck like this. I do see that we are focusing on the general Ryo side of things. Being able to get Ryo on the field and use it as the walking, talking grind that it needs to be is also a really, really strong thing. I know a lot of people kind of look past that a little bit and don't really consider General Ryo in here, but let's call it what it is. In any sort of water strategy, we've already seen Mana DM kind of be adapting towards this. If you can get to the, big dragon to deploy this card, test it. All right, look at General Ryo as actually an option that does exist. We also have Tenpai for you back here. Dang it, we're not playing any of those cool little fun dragons in here. I see that the OCG's kind of started to go beyond that. But what you do see in here is we are being forced to play Ultimate Slayers. Ultimate Slayer is going to be that resource for you to clean up that pesky big old pain in the butt that's known as Rizal, and then you just get it off of the field. All right, you also are side decking Heat Waves again, which is kind of funny. I mean, also must be nice, OCG, that you can do Sanctum Scythe Lock on your opponent, if you go first and you're able to generate this advantage. And hey, we are doing double Gold Sarcophagus in here for the blaster. That way you can turn the blaster into an extra line of search. But this is just kind of the situation you found yourself in out here when you've been forced to only play 1 Chandra. And it's so weird, but that was the method that the OCG chose to punish this deck with. I think it's worked out absolutely the best. All right, and then we have some other little decks back here. We also have Malice for you today. Now, this Malice list is playing 1 copy of the new Formud, which is kind of funny. I find that card very, very cool. We are playing the Code Talker Extender, and we are playing the Dot Scraper in here so that we can keep things up. So we are playing a singular copy of Ultimate Slayer, just in that situation that you need to clean up something that the opponent has set up on the field. Double Gold Sarcophagus, turning into some amazing starters for this deck. You also do see that we are citing our shifters down here, so we can kind of have the option if we need them. You can see, Memento was taking this event by storm. So having access to those shifters in the side deck kind of allows you the chance to kind of invert the big pain in the butt matchup that you might have. But, there's really nothing too crazy to Malice right now. All right, the way that this deck has been structured has been very, 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 very easily recognizable. And I find that very, very cool. Now, the OCG just needs to get rid of Apollosa, and we can actually have a similar card pool. And then we also have this Minkanko deck. Now, for the people that are like, hey, Robbie, you got any cool Minkanko list? Yeah, we do, actually. I'm happy to see that Minkanko's kind of been returning a little bit back into the fray out here, given a lot of the situation we've been finding ourselves in. Minkanko just looks like one of those cool decks right now. Now that Yubel's kind of went silent, this deck can kind of do the soul roll, all right? You can set up your damage reflection very, very steadily. You don't have any real big pain in the butt things that you have to overcome. So I find that kind of cool, all right? You just take the very slow grind approach, and you just kind of set up and just reflect damage, OTK your opponent. Seems free to me. So that is all we have for today's event. Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace. Patrons, Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.